Fate of the universe on the line. I want Iguodala.
Kevin Durant. You know who I am.
Hurry, way downtown. Bang! Bang! Up for the layup. Oh, blocked by James. Is this the dagger?
Bucks in 6, Suns had 4. Give us small market champions. Give us more. 50-piece McNuggets on live and alley-oops on replay. The Bucks did some jive, but here we do the ballet on the #BallIsNBA podcast, your favorite NBA podcast in an Indian accent. My name is Ashwin, and before we begin, I'd like to urge you all to like this video, follow this podcast, and subscribe to wherever the subscribe button is on. For one, it's free and it lets us know that the pod is listened to by good, kind-hearted souls. In the association this week, Milwaukee Bucks end a 50-year streak for the NBA ring. NBA experts expose a variety of tactics to defend their takes on Giannis. And children learn the value of dreaming, working hard so that one day you too can curse on live TV. Speaking of ends, I've got with me, as always, someone who's been to one end of the earth, someone whose love of crash diets knows no ends, and someone who's a big fan of the Black Eyed Peas album, The Energy Never Dies. My co-host Vineet Devaya. Vineet, welcome back. How's Luxembourg treating you this week?
Luxembourg is pretty good. It's it's good to be back home because now this is technically home.
This is hopeful.
And I'm back here once every 6 months. So
yeah, absolutely, no doubt about it. I mean, we're gonna do a finals review, and for that we have a special guest, Vineet. Our guest today, his voice gets us up from our seats. The man is a goat out on the streets. Straight to our studio from the peaks of Colorado. Here with us, last name Estes, first name Beau. Put your fingers and eyelashes together for the goat mentor Beau Estes. Beau Estes, the GOAT mentor, the voice which has sparked so much interest in the NBA top 10. I mean, I don't even know how to start. Vineet, do you remember the first of these? Because, see, in my head, I never thought that Beau, I thought Beau was one, extremely excited.
it was always there. It was always
No. I remember the time when, YouTube did not have NBA highlights. So we could only watch it on NBA.com, the India site. And I would watch it
that
there,
way.
and there was this suddenly, like there was this one point of time from which it just felt like, there was a different voice, there was a different feeling to it, and it was this person whose face we had not seen. And in my head, I'm thinking one, really young, extremely enthusiastic intern who's just like, I'm just gonna, reach for the stars. I'm just gonna do things which haven't been done before. And I'm like, oh my god, this is really exciting. And back then, I would, like, in the YouTube comments would say, goat mentor, and that's all that was there in my head. So, Beau, man, like, thank you so much for giving us that. I mean, we talked day before yesterday, and today you're here. This is absolutely, privilege for us. Thank you so much.
It's my pleasure. No, I'm always thrilled to talk with. It's amazing. The top 10 thing is amazing to me because it has gone around the world. Mm-hmm. You never know what's going to go viral, right? You never know, and if it happens to you in your life, it's the weirdest thing to have happen to you. Mm-hmm. Like, yes. You see it happen to other people, but to have happen to you is one of the weirdest things. But it is also, at least in my case, very lucky because I've connected with basketball fans in so many countries, in so many places around the world. And you have to keep in mind, look, I'm a kid that grew up in America, and I'm not young like you guys are. I grew up years and years ago. My first basketball memories are Magic Johnson, stuff like that.
Oh,
and
nice.
I loved basketball. I mean, I loved it. And to be able to share my ridiculous enthusiasm with everybody else in the world, and to have them connect with that is something I feel very, very lucky about. I mean, you can't, something that is a joy for you in your life, for people around the world to connect with that. Mm-hmm. It doesn't happen to everybody. It really doesn't. So I understand it. I understand how lucky I am that it happened for me. And I'm just thankful that people around the world love this sport that was mainly an American sport when I'm growing up. And then the dream team happens and it goes around the world. And let's be honest, we're sitting here talking right now. And the team that won the NBA championship, the best player on that team, the finals MVP, is not from America. He's from Greece, and he led them to the NBA championship. So you can see in, like less than 30 years since the Dream Team, the entire world of basketball has changed, and I'm just lucky to be along for the ride.
I mean,
we're just listening to you because it's like we can't believe it's the same voice. It's like, is this real? Is this real? Is this real?
Absolutely. I mean, I've always been interested in like, a little bit of poetry and then a little bit of rhyming schemes and all of that thing. And to hear you rhyme some of the most, like, I'm like, how did that go from there to here? It's, I mean, just as a, like, if I had to watch, if you watched Picasso paint, and this is like that for me. Like, I'm like, wow, like, how did this happen? How did this, become like this?
Let me disabuse you of the notion. I am no Pablo Picasso.
But yeah, just as humble though.
I think what happened is I was born with a weird tick. There's this famous literary review in America called the Kenyon Literary Review, and they reviewed my top tens, which was weird for like a respected, literary review site to say, let's review this clown's top tens. And I was a little nervous, honestly, but they were very positive about in their review of what I did. And the thing that they said is they think I have a condition called clanging, which means that like I almost have to not rhyme in my head to make it come across normal. And it's like like you can't have a sprinter with steroids. If they had the rap Olympics, they couldn't have me in it because I've got this condition where everything rhymes in my head all the time, and so I actually have to turn that off. Or else.
Oh, really? But is that how you feel yourself, or is that something you just read somewhere?
I'll be honest with you. What has happened is the more I have rhymed, the more stuff does rhyme, and it's sort of built upon itself. And so, my whole career is not rhyming. So it's like one part of this whole thing. Like I have to be a normal sportscaster for 95% of what I do.
Yeah.
And then I come out and I do the crazy top 10 guy at the end of the night after all the highlights are in and everything's done and I've done all the sponsored stuff, like we do Amazon stuff and all this stuff, and it never went viral. So people don't necessarily see that, but it's still required of me. And at the end of the night, they throw me this top 5, top 10. And just so you guys know, I don't ever pick the plays. I have nothing to do with that. They'll ask me, like, from time to time, what do you like here? And I can, if I wanted to say, I could say, I've been doing this too long. Let younger producers pick what they want to put out there. That's fine with me. And so I just get the list and I call it. And so that's how it works. And it's a lot of fun. And it's just wild that of all the things I've ever done in my career, this is the one thing that really hit. But man, I can't tell you how thankful and lucky I am to have had it happen to me, because it's just beautiful. It's a wonderful thing.
I mean, the passion just flows on. I think people connect more with the passion than anything. I mean, the rhyming scheme is fun to hear, but hearing you say it with so much gusto is what got me, like listening to. Oh my God, I was just waiting for it, because then they used to have non-goat commentators doing it as well, and I was like, oh, there's something is missing.
Something's missing.
I've never heard that term before, non-goat commentators. That's hilarious.
When was the first time you heard that term being used for yourself?
I'll tell you the truth. That's a good question. It was 2013, 14, maybe somewhere in there. And one of our producers found the comments on the
Reddit.
On the YouTube.
YouTube, okay.
Yeah, so they found it on YouTube, and they're like, are you seeing what's happening here? And I didn't even know it went on YouTube. I was working for NBA.com, and I had no clue it was going on YouTube. And they showed it to me, and I was like, wow, this is pretty cool. And then Reddit went wild with how fast I say top 10 and stuff like that. And the true story of that is more bizarre than the fiction behind it. And then
what's the true story? You can't just leave us by saying this is it's more bizarre.
Top 10. So like you hear that. So like I'll say it for you. NBA.com. So the reason I would do that, if you imagine, is we had bad editing software at the NBA. It was terrible. It was garbage. And so what would happen, you guys are technologically savvy enough to understand. So imagine you've got an edit timeline, and the video clip goes from right to left, and it ends right here. Well, usually in good, we could take my audio and go farther if I wanted to, and then they can extend the video or whatever.
Yeah, just kind of like stretch it out a little bit. Yeah.
Exactly. But at this period of time when we switched to this software, it had a hard out at the video hard out.
Okay.
So here's how it worked back in the day. There would be 10 of us that would be there at 3 in the morning, having been there all night covering all these NBA games. The last thing we got to do is Beau's got to do this top 10, and then we can all go home. So I'm feeling a little pressure. I want to get folks home because we've been working all night. We're going to be driving home on the streets of Atlanta at 3 in the morning. So I would be going along, and I would, what you do is you refer to your script. You go like, dude, and then look up at the play. And so you're sort of going back and forth like this. And I would see that the last play and the last video was rolling. So I would be saying, Blake Griffin takes it to the hole for the throw down on the number one on the NBA. And I'm trying to get out super fast so that we wouldn't blow the edit. And so that's the only reason that it ever happened that way. I was never consciously trying to say top 10 fast. And then that same producer was watching the comment section and was like, people are grabbing onto this way you say top 10. And so then we just started going more and more extreme on it. And I don't even know if I say the word 10 anymore. I just, I don't even know. So it's bizarre, but it's fun. Like the backstory, the stuff that people know that work there is almost even funnier than the idea that some NBA announcers sitting there going, I'm going to say top 10 faster and faster and faster, and I'm going to do it by design, and I don't care what anybody thinks. It was never that. It was just bad editing. That's all it ever was.
Oh,
it's a lucky accident. That's also very iconic. NBA, top 10.
It's crazy, absolutely crazy. But it's what's funny now is I get hired. I work for the NBL, which is the Australian Basketball League. I work for several companies now, and teams hire me and stuff like that. And so when they hire me to do the top 10, they're not hiring the professional sportscaster Beau Estes. They're hiring crazy rhyming guy doing top 10. So I have to come up with NBL top 10 also, but I have to say it quickly.
Say it quickly, yeah. That's the expectation now.
Yeah, that's what people want. So if I were to just go, at number 10, Bryce Cotton drives to the rim and throws it down, pretty cool. Moving on to number 9, people will be like, what the heck is this? They want to hear the real deal. So I have to deliver the goods, which is, it's wild because there's so many of these that I do now. Mm-hmm. Like the most visible is the NBA, right?
Yes.
Like it gets hundreds and thousands of millions of views and everything like that. The other stuff maybe gets a few thousand, 5,000, 10,000, and it's growing. All that stuff's growing, and it's doing well. But I have to deliver the same performance on all of it because that's what the people that are paying me want. And it's funny because fans in Australia love it now, and I feel so lucky to have fans in Australia. They're fans of the NBL. I don't want to claim that they're fans of mine, but they're fans of the NBL that seem to enjoy this. And they play my top 10s on TV and in Melbourne now. It's the weirdest thing, but for a kid from Georgia who grew up loving the NBA, it's all.
Can't complain. No,
man, I'm lucky. I'm really lucky.
That's amazing. That's a great attitude to have because I think a lot of people forget that luck plays a massive role in just
guys. Let me explain to you. Luck is huge. It's huge. You have to be. I teach at a school called Sports Business Classroom, and we teach people to get jobs in basketball, and that's what we try to help people do. But as much as I teach people how to do things properly and set themselves to be in a position to get a job, some of that's luck. So if you consider that I was in Atlanta and I was graduating from college in the year 1996, and the Atlanta Olympics are in 1996. So all the broadcasters from all around the world are coming. And I went through the Atlanta Olympic broadcast program, so I grow into all those jobs and everything happens. It was a happy accident. I'm just very lucky. Look, if you're somebody out there who's wanting to do something in broadcasting and the Olympics are coming to your city in 4 years, congratulations. You're in a real good spot. Life's going to open up for you in a real place.
Oh, we were born in the wrong country. If we were in Tokyo, we would have a great shot.
Yeah, exactly. Well, what's funny is I actually went to the Olympics in Nagano. in Japan in 1998. So I was there for that.
The Winter Olympics.
So it's wild seeing Tokyo's Olympics, and I wish them all the luck in the world,
yeah.
man, because it's a tough situation,
Yeah,
right?
absolutely.
Like, I turn on the stuff and it's no fans there, and I understand I'm obviously not in Tokyo right now. I've been there, but there's some pushback from the local folks there that they're not in love with the idea of this. So, I just wish for the best outcome for all those folks, because I know they put a ton of work into it.
Awesome.
So, Beau, can you give us a little insight? How you talked about how you've been a basketball fan since forever. So, can you tell us a little bit about how you started following the NBA? Did you play ever? Things like that.
Yeah. So I was a kid. I was living in Southern California as a kid. I was growing up there, and we lived in a town called Mission Viejo, which is south of Los Angeles. And this is when Magic Johnson came along. So Magic Johnson wins the NBA championship, and I remember after he won the championship, there used to be this old song that is way before you guys' time called "Do You Believe in Magic?"
Yeah.
And they were playing like Magic Johnson clips over "Do You Believe in Magic?" And so they're playing that song, and it hit me as a kid like, I love that. I don't like it. I love that. And so then we moved to North Carolina, and in 1982, the North Carolina Tar Heels win the national championship. James Worthy was their best player. He goes to the Lakers, which was my team at the time. It joins Magic Johnson, and on that team in 1982 was a guy named Michael Jordan. So they were pretty good, and I followed them. So it was sort of like I'm going from place to place, and it's all great basketball. And then I moved to Atlanta, and I just lucked into. I wanted to be a sportscaster since I was young. So in high school, I never went to a guidance counselor. I knew what I was going to do. I didn't need their services. I'm going to be, and so I played high school basketball. I wasn't like good enough to be a pro in any way. I'm only 6'2".
Only 6
and so like well, yeah, but like in the NBA, like it's not that big.
But you're talking to us Indians, so it's a little different.
Well, you guys can be 6'5" for all I know. I played against Penny Hardaway in camp in high school and stuff like. He was much better than me, and so like.
Oh man, I was hoping you would say like I just crossed him over.
I destroyed him.
Destroyed Penny Hardaway.
But like so like I played, but like it was never. I never thought I'm going to make it to the NBA, but I did always hold hope of being a broadcaster, and then. I pursuing that goal. We win the Olympics. It gets announced to Atlanta, and they open up this Hope Broadcast Training School. And so, like, all the students in Georgia go through this program. And if you're in the program, you're meeting people in the business. And so, like, even while I'm still in college, I'm working at the NBA on TNT. Like, I'm already, like, logging games. I'm already editing games, even as a college kid. And I'm getting paid real money. It was crazy. Literally, if you talk to Beau back then in college, like his junior and senior year, when I'm getting paid to watch the NBA, I was like, life can't possibly get better than this.
That's our goal. That's our goal, Beau.
It's the weirdest thing, man. And so, like, I was the happiest a human could be. Like every once in a while, I remember, like, because you're surrounded by people that are the same sort of feel as you. Like, I love basketball so much, and so like we'd all be like sitting there working our station, sort of like. Can you believe they're paying us to watch basketball? And then, so like you're a college kid and it's the greatest thing in the world. And so then I realized I wanted to be on camera and stuff like that. And so I started, I was like a high school host, like all the high school football and high school basketball. I was the local guy. So you'd see me on TV. And then Turner Sports, I was still working there at the same time.
Okay.
So I'm doing production at Turner Sports. I'm on air. It's Georgia Public Television and then CBS, which is a network in America. And then so at some point Turner's like, why don't you try out for this position hosting the Braves on national television? And I was like,
oh wow,
yeah, I'll do it. Whatever.
Braves
and
is
what
the
it
Atlanta
really
Braves.
was
the
Atlanta Braves. But like it used to be the national package on TBS was the Atlanta Braves all the time. And so it was like a national television job.
Okay.
And they were doing run-through work, and they're like, Beau, if you don't mind just hosting this, and we'll pay you as we just do our production check. And I'm like, Man, yeah, I'll do anything at this point, right? Like, I'll do anything. This is unreal. I'd always worked with like one microphone and a camera pointed at me in the field. And now I'm in a studio and there's cameras and lights and everything like that. And so it
Sign
was
me
cool.
up.
And yeah, and I did well enough that they were like, okay, why don't you try out for the actual gig? And I landed the gig. Out of all these people that they brought in, I was one of the best too. It was me. And I don't know if you guys have heard of this person, but she's pretty famous in America. It's a lady named Erin Andrews, who's had a lot of success. And so she's really famous now here. But we both got the gig, and it was, it just catapulted me on this journey. And the thing is, I was doing baseball. Baseball's not my favorite sport. I was always a basketball guy, but Turner Sports always had basketball. So eventually I worked my way, like the long way around, getting back to basketball. And when I got my opportunity in basketball and I was like on air, I just said, this is it. This is the dream. And I made it happen. And honestly, now that I'm older, I don't care so much about being on camera. I just want to be able to share my enthusiasm for basketball. That's what it is at this point.
Yeah, let's do the NBA Finals
it is,
preview,
yeah.
and then we can.
Not preview, it's a review.
I have so many
The
questions,
pre is
but
over.
let's do the finals
The
thing.
pre is over. It's now a review.
Oh, review. Sorry, my bad. Postmortem.
Very good. Yeah.
There you go.
Did you have fun watching the playoffs? Two small market teams. I don't know if Phoenix is exactly small market, but two teams who have not been to
It is.
Okay.
It is for NBA. It is. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Two teams who have never been in the
did I
finals.
have fun watching that?
Mm-hmm.
I think it was weirdly, and I'm going to be sort of a contrarian here. I think it's great for the NBA to have small market teams succeed, and I'll tell you why. Look, if we had the Lakers and the Knicks in the finals and there were stars on both teams, sure, the ratings would be through the roof. But if you get the Lakers or Golden State, which is another huge market, or the Brooklyn Nets every year.
Spurs? No, I'm just kidding.
Spurs.
Just
Yeah,
joking.
exactly. It's a huge market. So if you get that every year, you are a fan of the Charlotte Hornets or the Minnesota Timberwolves or some of the other small market teams, you don't think you have a chance.
Yeah.
Now
Yeah.
you have a team that drafted a guy later in the first round who's
15,
become one of the faces of the league, a dominant player in this league, and brought an NBA championship to your city for the first time in 50 years. It never needs to happen again for Giannis. If he never wins another championship, he has done his job 10 times over. So I'm thrilled for the guy. I really am. And I just, I think it's good for the NBA to have those small market teams succeed. And, the Lakers will be back. You watch. The
Lakers will be back.
The Nets will be
Golden
back.
State will be back.
Let me guess. Are you a Lakers fan?
I promise you this, and I mean this in all sincerity. I'm not a fan of any team in the league.
No, it's impossible. It is impossible.
I'm telling you the absolute, and here's why. I've done this job now for 26, 27 years. So at this point, like, it's just, you stop cheering for uniforms and you start, like, taking interest in the story themselves, the players and stuff like that. So, I grew up a Lakers fan. Now, the opposite example of this is I am a huge college basketball fan of the University of North Carolina. Uncontrollable. If you follow me on Twitter, I apologize for what I say. I'm a lunatic about that team, but I don't cover them like I cover the NBA. I just watch them for my own enjoyment of watching them. And that's just a different experience altogether.
Got it. Okay, that's fair. That's fair. Why is this? So I've spent some time in the U.S. and I've noticed that there is this massive. I think there are like two segments. There are a lot of people who are a fan of college basketball, but probably not much of the NBA. I would imagine that it is because of have your affiliation with the alma mater or something of that sort, or there's a lot of teams, universities that have teams in the that don't have a team in the NBA, so they root for the team in the college team. Can you give a sense of, like, because you are such a big UNC fan, and UNC is one of those, UNC and Duke have this rivalry, but other than that, like, what is your sense of, like, why there is this clear demarcation between college basketball and NBA?
I think there's a couple of things. There's style of play that people really enjoy with college basketball. The NBA, particularly now, is a different game than what people grew up with. I think it's beautiful. That sort of pace and space and 3-point shooters and stuff like that. They're just a real premium on skill. So I think there's that. I think the other thing is there's this sort of connection to the players and the coaches that stay there. Like, if you're a fan of North Carolina, Roy Williams won his first title in 2005. 15 years later, he's still the face of that program until he retired this year. So there's a connection to that, and those guys sort of stay connected to each other throughout. And with the NBA and free agency, guys move here, guys move there. So it's hard to really invest. You know, like, look, I'm in Oklahoma City last year. I'm a Chris Paul fan. Well, now he's on Phoenix. And then the year before he was somewhere else and stuff like that. So that's a little more difficult. I think that's changing in college. I think college, you know, with the transfers and stuff like that, and that may, you know, impose a cost on fandom in college basketball. But I do think that there's some style stuff. There's allegiance to alma mater, like you mentioned. That's a good point too. There's some regional things, like if I'm a fan of, say, Alabama basketball. There's no pro team in Alabama.
Yeah, that's right.
So there's all sorts of stuff like that. The NBA is a bigger game as far as popularity in America, but I will say this: the Final Four rates right there with an NBA Finals.
Yes,
because that March
Massive.
Madness is insane, and I call those games too.
Oh, you do?
I do.
Oh, you do? Oh, okay.
So, like, if you're in an arena and you're listening to a Duke North Carolina game, that's my voice on that stuff.
Wow.
Yes. I stay busy.
All right. Okay.
Yeah. So, like,
do you charge by
stuff.
per
Syllable.
10? You know, like
Per syllable.
syllable. I was
Do I
kidding.
charge per syllable? I should.
Yeah. You should. You
I
definitely.
need you to be my agent and work that out. I'll get real polysyllabic if that starts happening. I will expand the universe of my vocabulary if that comes to pass.
I mean, I'm pretty sure there's a market for it. I mean, just considering that, you have all of these contracts, that's pretty phenomenal. I mean, congratulations. Yeah, that's awesome.
No, I think honestly it's more to do with the way I normally call highlights among professionals. Whatever. I think this is going to sound, I want to make this not sound arrogant.
Go for it. Just make it sound arrogant. It's totally
what
fine.
I'm saying is, like, I think my voice is recognizable just because it's been drilled into people's ears for years and years and years, and I just rhyme there.
I mean, I completely disagree.
but, like,
I don't think that's the case at all. I think it's because your voice is so full of what is the word? French word?
Energy.
Vive des jours. There's a nice.
Oh, yeah. I see what you're saying. Yeah, I appreciate it, and
because we have
I love that.
got a lot of, like I said, non-goat commentators, and it just doesn't feel the same. Right? Like, once you've had buttered toast, then you don't want to go back to toast. You'd really want to continue.
That's true.
That's a great expression.
This is very good buttered toast. Can we add some cheese?
I like that expression. Once you've had buttered toast, you don't want to go back to toast. I like.
You should use that in one of your top 10s. When you go
what's
from.
funny is people ask me to include stuff like that, and I do.
Oh, they do?
I've snuck it in. I was at a dinner not long ago, and somebody asked me to sneak something in, and I did. It was fun.
You did? Okay.
You should go like
embarrassed to
at
have
number
this.
2. When you're going from number 2 to number 1, you say, now you have the toast, and now it's the buttered toast at number 1, or something like that. I don't know.
I've already got it in my mind how that would work, actually.
Oh, really?
Sadly, that's in my mind. Yeah, I could probably work that out.
Okay, all right.
There we go. Ashwin, so we got to now listen to every top 10 in every country to hear for the buttered toast.
So yeah, it's like Giannis proving he's the most like buttered toast as he goes up and roasts the.
Oh, there you go.
It's so like it's so easy.
So we just have to wait for Giannis to do it again
on
the opening day next season. And we'll wait for it.
You know what it is, guys? You know what those things are? Those are puzzles.
Mm-hmm.
All that stuff is puzzles. That's all it is.
Absolutely.
It's mental puzzles. It's like a crossword.
Yeah. I mean, I don't have it with drawings, but I can sort of picture what it is. Like, you're just like, okay, this piece is there. Now, where do I fit it? Like, probably that's how it works for you.
100%. You're right on the money with that. You really are, because and you don't want to repeat yourself. Like, look, there's only so many ways to say dunk, slam, jam, whatever. but like you want to like describe it differently and in different terms. And so like I literally will go about my daily life and,
Just rhyme
sometimes I'll pick
things.
stuff up in my daily life. Like I was in Hawaii one time doing these and I saw this really bright rainbow and I said somebody's shining brighter than a Hawaiian rainbow on this hammer throw, as he gets to go number one. It's like that. But like, so like I saw that earlier in the day. And I was like, that's a really bright rainbow. And then I just thought, like, I can use that.
Yeah, and then you were comparing yourself to
there-
normal toast. I don't understand it. Like there's a limit to how much humility one should have. So on this podcast.
Actually, the funny part is when you're talking about this, I just remember there's this YouTube clip of Eminem. I don't know if you've seen it from the 60 Minutes where he explains how he rhymes
Orange
the words.
with door
and it is
hinge,
the orange,
door
and it kind of like just the way you described it, kind of just reminded me of that.
So yeah, when I listen to him describe it like that, I get it. Like look, I'm not Eminem, but like I get what he's doing. And I get I at this point of doing it, I get how it works. I mean, I know how you can put that stuff together.
I do it with
build that
numbers,
puzzle.
prime numbers. I'm always like on the lookout for prime numbers and trying to make sure, this is a special number because this is.
Really? Are you serious?
Yeah, I'm serious. I have a problem there.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. So, Beau, what do you feel about, there's this separatist, it's not a separatist movement, but sort of a secessionist movement where people like, we don't want to go to college. We'd rather join the overtime league or we'd rather join the G League directly from high school, build up our skills there, get to college. I mean, what are your views about that as a college basketball fan yourself?
So I just think entirely the landscape is changing. It's an entire revolution. So I'll start with this. I worked for the NBL, right, in Australia. We had LaMelo Ball go to the NBL. We've had other players go to the NBL that have been successful, like right out of high school. So that was an option. Then the G League countered that with G League Elite option.
Yes.
You talk about overtime. That's an option. So these players are getting paid. They're making money. So the NCAA responds, we'd like to keep these players here. So now there's like NIL, the image licensing stuff, name and image licensing. And I think that response from the NCAA is interesting. It is completely different from what I grew up with, but I think it's long overdue. These players generate so much revenue for the schools and for the television networks, and they get a scholarship, which is nice, but for 4 years you get $100,000. So it's $25,000 a year. There's a lot of people that work really hard to make that sort of money, but they're generating millions upon millions upon millions of dollars. Yeah, no, sure. Whoever it is around the world, like I understand it's still a lot of money, but imagine if you're working and you're generating $13 million with your efforts and you get paid $25,000. That rubs you the wrong way a little bit. And so I'm glad that that's becoming a little more equitable for these players. And the interesting thing about image and name licensing is that the stars will make the money that way. They really will. The background players won't make as much like it is with the NBA, but they'll all at least be able to afford something, right? They'll be able
They
to
all still get scholarships,
Yeah, they all get scholarships. And like, look, if you're the 12th player on the North Carolina bench, some local place in Chapel Hill is going to pay you some money to, hey, come get a haircut at Sam's Haircut or whatever the heck it is. And then you make enough to, pay a car payment or get a haircut, whatever. So I think that helps. I think that's better.
Realize that you have a commentator's voice early on, or did you realize it once you started doing this stuff and then people are like, man, you got a great broadcasting voice. You should use that. I have a follow-up question, but
No. I'll tell you the truth on that. I thought I had a great voice when I was in high school, and I probably didn't. I thought at the time, man, I was born for this role. I really was, and I probably didn't. But yeah, I probably now at this point it sounds like a commentator's voice, and that's lucky. Again, that's it's over time you develop it and stuff like that, right? You can hone it, but your voice is your voice that you're born with. But Yeah, when I was a kid, I thought I was good, and like you're 15 years
So
old.
you just
right?
had vision. That's it.
Yeah.
Just had. Like,
So my follow-up question was did you ever use your like voice to impress girls on dates? Like just kind of get it all, just
No, not at all.
Never.
I can't wait to tell my wife that you asked that question. She is going to laugh hysterically. I will tell you this. There is something fun. I'm not going to lie to you. There's something fun about being in your 20s, being on national TV, having a little bit of money. That's a good experience, man. It's a lot of fun, and you get.
And you're going to leave it at that. And you're going to leave it at that. You're going to leave it at
Well, I'll tell you the truth. I used to like when I don't do this anymore just because I'm older, but
Yeah.
I used to drive a pretty flash car. And so, like my wife, it's not my current wife, my only wife. I've got several coming up. She's going to kill me. But like my wife, like when I picked her up for the first time, I had this like convertible sports car. She did like that. So
Well,
that paid off.
That's
But,
why we
like,
buy those cars.
It's
Yeah.
yeah. I don't drive that anymore, but I drive the most basic thing in the world now. But like when you're married, like you simplify.
Yeah.
That's the way it goes.
That's fair. That's fair.
Well, what convertible was it?
It was, and look, if they ever came back out with these again, I would go spend a boatload of money on it. It was a Saab convertible.
Oh, Saab.
And I loved Saabs. I love. If that company ever came back and they needed a voice, I would do it for free. I love those cars so much. You could offer me a BMW convertible, Audi convertible, anything Mercedes. I don't want it. I want a Saab.
I don't think I've ever heard anyone
I love
say
them that much.
such words of love for Saab. I don't think I've ever heard that.
I used to use the Saab car in NFS.
NFS.
Oh, really?
Need for Speed too. NFS, yeah.
They had a Saab.
Yeah. I used to have like the racing edition
Oh, okay.
of this sports car convertible, and it would scare you how fast this thing was. Like I would be like, I'm gonna get myself in trouble if I don't look out. But it was fun, but it was also like it just got to be so ridiculously expensive and stuff like that. And you get older and priorities change and stuff like that. So but I will say this. If they ever come back out with a Saab convertible, my wife's going to have an uncomfortable realization when she sees our bank account. It's going to go
like, what happened?
down.
What happened?
What happened? We'll look out in the driveway.
Saab, if you're listening, then you know what to do. I mean, first of all, you have to get yourself back up.
I hear there's people that are trying to bring it back. So if you're listening, I'm your guy.
You do it for free. You don't even have to
They're
buy
definitely listening, though. They're definitely listening. Definitely listening.
I remember when we saw you on the Eklavya show, you had this long pandemic hair, and you were talking about that. What other ways has this life affected? I mean, I'm sure you're I would assume that you're a very extroverted person. Like you love people, and you said that you worked in the Atlanta office, where I'm sure 10 people are around you, just making sure that all this work is getting done, and you are part of a team, right? And it must be weird sitting somewhere else and convincing yourself that yes, I'm still part of that team. Like, I mean, even so, how has that been for you from a work perspective? Because I'm sure those are like absolute fun people to hang out with. So, do you miss hanging out with them?
They're great, yeah, and I do miss hanging out with them. I'll tell you a true story. I was the television host the day that the NBA shut down. So I was on NBA TV the day the league shut down, and I was like your afternoon update guy.
Mm-hmm.
And so what happened was, I got a note from our producer. So what happens is the producer will send the anchor, and I'm the anchor in this case, a note. Here's what we're going to cover today. And what it was March of 2020. Gosh, the world, it seems like such a weird time. And they said, Beau, here's what we're covering. We're going to do teams that can clinch a playoff spot today and teams that can get eliminated from the playoff spot. So I'm researching on that, and I'm preparing for that, and I'm ready to go with that. And I get there, we do one update that is that. And then the next update, they're starting to filter in news about Golden State may have trouble with attendance at their game tonight. And so we're updating that.
I think OKC also had a game which was wiped out. OKC
Yeah. So by the time I leave, I hand off to the evening anchors, I think it's 6 o'clock. And that's when the OKC thing is starting to happen. I drive home in Atlanta, like a 30-minute drive home, click on the TV, and it's just like madness, absolute madness. So it was, I remember, so just to give you a little perspective, in Atlanta, my wife and I lived right next to the CDC, the Centers for Disease Control.
Oh.
It's just a mile or two from our house. All our friends were CDC workers, so we knew about the pandemic well in advance. We knew it was coming. But when the league shut down, just like I think for a lot of people around the world, the NBA shutting down was sort of the marker.
Absolutely.
Where, okay, things are different now. And I have not been back in the office since then. I really haven't. But we talk on the phone all the time. A lot of my work, like with the NBA highlights, it's better for me to be at home to do that because the system's more reliable. Here, I'm going to show you something. This mic is the mic I use for every NBA highlight.
The Yeti. Blue Yeti.
So, like, the Blue Yeti, you got it. A free advertisement for you people. Send me some microphones. So those people...
I'm sure they will. If they know the GOAT mentor using it.
Well, when they come out with the blue Yeti-Saab microphone, then I'm in business. So, like, the thing that's weird is that, like, it's just easier to do the highlights from home. Because, like, when you're setting up with a voiceover booth and you're patching in all around the building, that can all crash. This never crashes.
Okay.
It works every single time. So I've done highlights from home for a while now. And so that wasn't a big transition, but it was a big transition to not see anybody. To literally, like, my sister lived a mile down the road. My niece, Charlotte, my nephew James, right down the road, and I would see them all the time, like 5 times a week I would see them. And we didn't see anybody. We locked down seriously. And, my sister's husband, Jonathan, is a doctor. So everybody took it pretty seriously. And so, like, a year of that was pretty wild. I don't know what the situation is like where you guys are in Indiana and Luxembourg. Here's what it's like in America right now, as best as I can explain it. Many of us have gotten vaccinated. About half of Americans are vaccinated right now. You feel pretty safe when you get vaccinated, right? There are cases that you can still get, but typically what happens when you get a case if you're vaccinated is it's not very serious. The symptoms are lighter, everything like that. So in that case, I feel pretty lucky to be here. We were not handling the pandemic well at the start. In the last 6 months, we've handled things a whole lot better. And so we're very lucky, but I don't, here's the thing. I was in the store today, and people could just walk in anytime off the street, no appointment, and get your vaccinations. It's that easy here. And I don't know if that's true in India, and I don't know if that's true in Luxembourg, and how it is for you guys.
I just got jabbed yesterday, and it took me half an hour. It was not as easy as just walking. I had to walk in, take a token number, then sit in line, pay, make the pay. Basic India has a lot of.
That's what he means by walking in. You can't just walk in.
I thought just walk in. And
Yeah.
So it took me like.
It's going to be like, jab me right here.
Right in the arm, right
here.
I got it and
give me whatever shot you got. So, like, do you guys have the same? Is it the same vaccination options? Is it for us? It's Moderna, Pfizer, and Johnson & Johnson. Is that what it is for you guys?
Ours is. I know it by
India has
Covishield, Covaxin, and the Russian thing, Sputnik. I think.
Oh, okay, gotcha. And so, were you relieved when you got it? Did you feel a little bit like?
So I actually got COVID 3 months ago. I got it on my way.
Okay.
I was coming back home and I got it in the bus that I was traveling, and I got it. And I was. I have to say I'm pretty privileged enough that I could rest in my house and things got better for me. My family took very good care of me, and I didn't have any worries of that sort. But it was really bad. As in, I lost my smell, I lost my taste, and I was like, oh God, is this life? Is this real life? And like every day you read about people having it much worse. That was probably the only thing.
Yeah.
But I got the vaccination.
Scary,
I'm relieved. I'm relieved. I don't know whether it will be. It's like a proper force field, but I think we have to take all these minute steps. You can't just randomly one day wake up and it's all gone. That's not going to be the case.
Yeah, it's not.
How many people in India?
1.4.
It's 1.3 billion. 1.4.
Yeah.
1.4
Billion?
billion.
Yeah, billion.
Yeah.
Oh my Gosh. What's China?
I think
You guys got to be
China's
catching them.
somewhere there.
I think by 2025 we'll surpass them. Yeah.
Supposed to.
Are you kidding me? I need to get to India then. You guys are taking over.
Oh, I mean, I wouldn't say so. Not in NBA though. Not in NBA. Not in NBA.
You know what? I will tell you this: that Mir and Faker story about basketball in India made me want to go there and see it for myself and see what the.
You're always welcome, Beau. You're always welcome. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Well, I don't know if Basketball India would want me there, but like I would love to just see. I don't know, like it's something that is we're so far along in basketball, right? Like in our evolution of basketball. But to see somebody who's just starting with just the passion of basketball and trying to grow it from the roots up, I think it would be neat to see that. And
there's a lot of passion for basketball, especially at the grassroots level, where the kids are, still, like they don't care about anything else. They just like, we are happy to play. And basketball is a little difficult to.
What did you say? 1.4 billion people.
Yes.
You're going to produce some good basketball players. You're going to have a Luka Doncic from India.
Soon.
You're going to have a Giannis from India. That's all coming because I'm telling you, you can't have that many people and not do it, especially if the systems are in place. It's a question of math, right?
Yeah.
At some point, you're going to have people that break through that are that talented.
We have a lot of people involved in trying to create that system, so that there's and we do our little small part. We don't. We do our little things, but there is like you said, talk to some of these kids. All of them want to be Steph Curry. Like all of them are like, oh yes, they follow the NBA. I don't know if they'll know that, but most of the people because the games happen really early in the morning, like 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock, they catch the highlights. So I am pretty sure there's some sort of a fan following for you. I'm pretty sure they just don't know your name and they don't know that it's the same person.
They don't know your name or something, yeah.
But if they hear you, they'll be like, wait a minute. Yes, this is the man. This is the.
There's something good about not having your face known out there. I don't think like if people talk to me and heard my voice, I'm sure they're going to figure it out sooner or later.
Absolutely. I mean, that's happened to you. Right? I'm sure that's happened to you. Like when somebody has recognized you by your voice.
The last time I bought a cell phone, I was talking to the guy, and he's like, "Wait a second," and he figured he brought me back in the back, and he said, "I was just listening to your top 10 just now," and he showed me his link, and he was just listening to it.
So, Beau, what's I mean, obviously, you just said that you're very happy where you are, but what does Beau? I mean, at some point, maybe you were like super competitive. You really wanted to prove yourself. Is there something that you have that you think that, all right, I need to do this at least once or twice, or as a part of my career, or experience this part of the broadcasting space?
I've got the worst answer for you. It's no.
No.
I've done everything I've ever wanted to do.
You have to come to India, though. You have to come to India and commentate on a game.
I would love to. Like, that's not a career goal. That's more a life thing. But, like, like, here's let me modify that answer a little bit.
All right.
So I feel like I've done everything I wanted to do, but when the NBL called and I started broadcasting in Australia, I developed a connection with an entire nation of basketball fans that I never even considered a possibility. So there may be stuff out there like that I'm not even thinking of that could be possible. And I will say this, like if Champions League Soccer called and said, would you start doing our top 10s?
Whoa.
I would be through the moon on that. I would eat that up. I would tear that up. You would have. I don't think the earth would be the same. I would go so crazy on that. I mean,
so soccer. So soccer is kind of your next.
Yeah. Well, so I get to be a fan of that sport, right? And with basketball, I'm a fan of, but it's also like I'm paying close attention because there's work involved.
Yes.
With soccer, I'm a super duper fan. And it's God, I would go nuts calling Champions League highlights. They've got wonderfully talented people. They don't need me, but if they called me for some reason, that would be a dream.
Those people are also quite good. I mean, they go, and they just like kind of like
okay. So
stretch it out for
because I think the one we get in India, the top 10 doesn't have any sort of background commentary. It's like whatever is going on in the game, that's it. Like there's no special.
Yeah,
what
sounds,
Beau does, yes.
Oh
Wait,
man,
is that
oh,
for
man.
like for soccer? It's just
Yeah,
that sounds.
yeah.
Well, you know why that is. That's cheaper. Like somebody has to write me a check. So you could go cheaper, a heck of a lot cheaper without me. But I will tell you this: there's an announcer named Ray Hudson. If you're listening to this, go to YouTube and type in Ray Hudson Messi or Barcelona or Real Madrid or something. It is the most insane commentary, and I love the guy to the end of the world.
Yeah.
He is such an inspiration for me. I feel like when I watch him, he raises his level, and then I feel forced to raise my level to try to compete with what he's doing. And he's just a genius. He's an absolute genius.
There should be a GOAT mentor versus Ray Hudson, like top 10. You do one, then he does one. That would
Oh
be.
my God! Go listen to him. I'm telling you, he's
Have
absolutely a
you?
genius.
I'm sure. Have you tried connecting with him in some form or the
Oh,
other? Or
we follow each other on Twitter.
okay, got it. Okay.
Yeah. So I think he's aware of who I am and what I do, and I'm a fan of his. I wouldn't dare call him a fan of mine, but we know each other.
Got it. All right. So I think you just talked about how you were a fan of basketball and then it became your job, and you kind of, I think the fandom kind of goes down a little bit because it then becomes your job and you have to pay close attention. And I think me and Ashwin, I don't know about Ashwin, but at least for me, I'm a huge fan of basketball and NBA. But since I've been doing the podcast, and we've been doing it for 4 years now, and sometimes it's just become you lose the fandom part because now you're like critically, like everything is, I wouldn't say it's our job because we don't get paid for it, but you need to be more unbiased, you need to professional, you need to have a professional aspect to it, and we need to show up every week. And this time for the playoffs, we showed up every day. We did 47 straight days of live with our fans, and so it becomes more, we kind of lose the love for it. Do you feel that with basketball right now?
Here's how I would say that. I have not lost the love for basketball. I love basketball. I have lost the interest in rooting for particular uniforms. I am a fan of wonderful basketball, beautiful basketball. I want to see, like, there's a lot of people on Twitter that do like data analytics and break down this and that. That's not me. I want to see the beautiful highlight play that takes your breath away, and I want to describe that to people.
I don't Spurs care now.
Yeah, exactly. Just like the San Antonio Spurs.
Vinny, you're talking to a Lakers guy.
Yeah. Oh, you're a Lakers guy?
I mean, you are Lakers. I'm a Russell Westbrook guy. Wherever Russell Westbrook goes, I go with him.
Oh, well, see, so that's true. I can see that. Your fanship is portable. Wherever you're a fan of a player, and I get that. By the way, they love him in Washington. Yeah, I just think what it is I'm a fan. I'm going to steal from soccer. I'm a fan of the beautiful game. And so I want to see the beautiful plays, and I want to see those things. And the more of that, look, that makes my job easier, right? Like, if at number 5, a mid-range jump shot, what am I going to do with that? So I want to see exciting, take your breath away basketball. That's what I'm there for.
Okay. Vinith,
awesome.
I'm not done. We can do our this or that questions. Are you ready for it? So, Beau, we do this thing with all our guests where we, give them like 2 options, and it's just a, one word answer. So we will ask A or B, then you just have to say A or B. Don't have to worry about context or anything of that sort. Vinith, are you ready?
Yes.
This or that with Beau. LeBron or Michael Jordan? Who would you draft first?
I'm going to say this slowly so people can hear it. I know I'm cheating the system. Michael Jordan. Michael Jordan.
Any day.
Not close.
That's awesome.
Easy pick.
Okay.
I'm going to make it a little bit more difficult. Who had a better career, Kobe Bryant or Tim Duncan?
I'm pretty sure you've never heard that question before.
I'll say Kobe, but that's a lot closer and can go a different way. I say Kobe, but I only say Kobe. Performance on the court and numbers wise, I'm really screwing up your short answers. By the way, I apologize.
No, go for it. Everybody does that.
I'm really screwing up your show. I think Kobe because of his connection with the fans. I think probably on court impact, it's very, very similar, even though they play different positions.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Fair enough.
All right. As a Lakers fan, maybe you might be able to give us more. Who was more crucial for Showtime success? Kareem Abdul-Jabbar or Magic Johnson? Like if you had to take one of them off
for the Lakers only,
yes.
or for all time.
No, for Lakers. That Showtime.
Okay,
Showtime.
Magic Johnson. Magic Johnson was more crucial in the '80s than Kareem was. It was a weird transition because Kareem basically handed the team over to Magic Johnson. Kareem won Finals MVPs while they were together, but then Magic won them. Magic won MVPs later. I think Magic was more crucial for the Lakers' success in the 1980s.
Okay.
What's your all-time top 5 NBA players?
Players,
yeah.
Okay, so I'll do it for you. You're going to guess number. Michael Jordan is separate from everybody. Just put him in a different galaxy, separate. I almost prefer having a GOAT debate without him, just because it's much more interesting if you take him away, because most people are going to pick Michael Jordan, and then you're just like, well, this was not a lot of fun.
Not me, though.
Are you going to pick LeBron?
No, Kareem.
Okay, so now this is fascinating for me. So I think Kareem and LeBron are having very similar careers. Mm-hmm. Very similar. I, in fact, call LeBron Perimeter Kareem.
Oh.
Long careers with a lot of success. They accumulate huge numbers over the course of long, healthy careers. Their impact is undeniable on the game for 2 decades. Mm-hmm. And for LeBron, it's going to be 3 decades, and for Kareem, really the same thing. So I think those two are in my top 5 for sure. Those would probably be 2 and 3. Then it gets a little bit tricky. I probably put Magic Johnson in there. Mm-hmm. So that gets me to 4. And then I get really in trouble because I think you're stuck between Wilt and Bill Russell, and I don't know what to pick there. Bill Russell won all the rings. I think Wilt was probably a better player. If you force me to pick, I'll go Bill Russell. Okay. So that'd be my top 5. So it's Bill Russell, Magic, LeBron, Kareem, and then on another planet somewhere else, separate from everybody, not even to be included in the same discussion with any of these people, is Michael Jordan. He's that much better than everybody else.
Okay. No, that's very clear who your favorite player is. Okay,
who your favorite player is?
You know what? True, he's not my favorite player at all.
He's not.
Who is your favorite player then?
James Worthy by a million miles.
Whose voice, like if you were stuck on a deserted island, whose voice would you like to, ring in your ears? Marv Albert or Mike Breen? Mike Breen.
Ooh, God, you're really pushing me there. I think Marv Albert has a better voice. Mm-hmm. And I think Mike Breen is maybe the best at keeping track of a game and explaining the details of a game that I have ever seen. I think Marv's voice is better. And I'm going to give you a little context with Mike Breen. Mm-hmm. Mike Breen, when Devin Booker turned the ball over in what was game 5. So as soon as he turns it over, there's like 17 seconds left. Mm-hmm. Mike Breen, if you listen to the broadcast, Phoenix needs to foul. He says that right away. Chris Paul doesn't even realize it. Chris Paul's like running back on defense. Mike Breen immediately hits that contextual note. And I thought it was genius. Absolutely genius. So I think Marv Albert's voice is better, but I think Mike Breen's about the best I've ever seen at sort of telling the story of the game in that exact moment. It just blows my mind.
If you had to get, if you were given the key and you were said you can have anybody's job in Turner Sports, from a broadcasting perspective, whose job would you want tomorrow?
Beau Estes.
That's great.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah. I got the job I want.
Absolutely.
Awesome.
Yeah. Like, I don't want to go into the studio every day like Ernie Johnson and do all that stuff. I enjoy the freedom I have. I enjoy my ability to really watch a game and passionately connect with fans on NBA.com. I don't want any. The job that I want in the world is the job that I have. I'm lucky that way.
You're very lucky.
That's awesome,
guy, and we are lucky to have you, Beau. Thank you so much for coming on this podcast. This has been. I really did not realize that we've gone through 2 Zoom sessions to get to this.
Two.
This almost never happened.
And that's why I said we don't have enough time for the Lakers discussion. But if you want to, if you have time, we can do it. But I know you have to wake up early tomorrow.
Well, no, I just want to say to all the people who listen, thank you so much, and I appreciate you guys having me on. I'm always thrilled to connect with fans around the world. I've been on a show in India before, and I'm always thrilled to connect with basketball fans in India. It's a growing country and a growing basketball country, so I'm excited to see what's next.
And I don't know if you recognized Ashwin from the other show. He was the one who asked you a question.
I also had pandemic hair back then.
So you saw me on the other one, right?
Yes.
I think I may go on with them again soon too.
Mm-hmm.
Who knows?
Okay, at least we've sandwiched you between their 2 sessions, so you won't feel.
You've stolen me. I'll let them know.
All right, Beau. Thank you so much. This has been an absolute delight. I mean, Vineet and I are obviously huge fans, and I think I kept my gushing to a minimum. Thank you so much, fans. Everyone, please, like, share, subscribe, follow, do all that jazz, and we'll catch you next time. Till then, say bye, Vineet.